Well, everybody, welcome to Universal Truth of Mankind. I am Dave, your host, and this is the Genesis Walk. Back to Genesis. Okay. We've all heard the story about Sodom and Gomorrah, where Abraham started questioning God and saying, hey, you want to destroy Sodom and Gomorrah. But what if and he starts at 50, what if there's 50 righteous people there? Won't you spare the city? And of course, the response is yes. But let's take it one step back and let's learn a little bit about righteousness first. Unfortunately, we treat words such as righteousness and other names, titles, and so on and so forth as labels, as permanent labels. So if somebody's called, oh, you're a good person, then what they're saying is you're always good? No, that's a misnomer. They're good most of the time. Or they were good at the moment you were there. Maybe you only known the person for 30 seconds. Oh, you're a good person. You see, it's an element of time here. So righteousness means to do the right thing, but it could be for a few seconds, a few minutes, a few hours, a few days, a few weeks, a few years. I don't know. You can do righteous things, but no one is completely righteous. For example, maybe I'm very faithful to my wife, and I will not let go of my faith for my wife and my love for my wife. And I'm going to stick with her. Nothing deters me from that. Does that make me a righteous man? You ladies out there say, heck yes. Now let's counterbalance that and say, let's say I really love my wife. By the way, I really do. And let's say I like to drink a lot and I get drunk often. And in those moments, I may abuse my wife. Not necessarily physically, but maybe verbally, maybe psychologically. Maybe I'm not uplifting my wife, but I'm like pushing her down. Do I do these type of things? Thankfully, I don't drink. Just letting you know. Am I now righteous, even though I'm treating my wife right when I'm sober? There you go. There you go. Now you have a conundrum. Okay. So righteousness is for the moment. This is an important concept to keep in mind as we're following Abraham. Abraham is saying, okay, 50. Sure. God says. I'm not quoting God. You understand. I'm narrating this a little bit. Well, what about 45? Sure. And he keeps going down. The answer is like, why does he keep going down? He goes all the way down to 10 and stops. Okay. He goes down to 10 and he stops at 10. Why 10? Previous video, I talk about, it's a back to Genesis video where I talk about the 10 utterances, which is known as the 10 Commandments, Exodus 20. Watch that video and you'll understand where I'm going with this. It goes back to Genesis 1, where there's 10 utterances. So there's 10 fingers, attributes of the creator within creation. So Abraham, which was a birther of a great nation, is now interested in people. Well, he was before that, but interested in the corporate entity, so to speak. So he's not looking for this city to be destroyed. Why? Well, if 10 people can be righteous, then it's possible an 11th person could be righteous or a 12th person could be righteous. Maybe only for a moment, but every time a person is righteous, that's a redeeming quality to that person. We're not talking about perfection here. We're talking about redeeming quality. He stops at 10. 10 attributes of the creator. Well, it's found out, and Kabbalists teach this as well as the students, and it's in some of the commentaries, Jewish commentaries, that when you have 10 people together, each one of them is strong at one of those attributes. For example, let's say the will of the creator. Someone's very sensitive to the will of the creator and is willing to enforce the will of the creator within that group of 10. Let's say a person is very familiar and very sensitive to the love of the creator. That person's going to represent that. The other person says they understand the judgment. They understand the balance of those two. That's another person, and so on and so forth until you have 10. And so you're literally creating a righteous person out of the 10. So righteousness is not just about an individual. It's about a group of 10, a minion at 10 coming together, having a focus on the creator. And as a result, they become an influence to the city, to the community around them. It's not about the 10 going out and saying, thus saith the Lord. If you don't believe this, you're going to where? If you do this, you're going to be destroyed. You're going to die at the edge of the sword. Let me preach at the corner. Let me go to the synagogue. Let me go to this church. Let me go to this temple. Let me go to that place. It's not what we're talking about. By example, there's such spiritual power that people who are watching cannot ignore it. And they can be influenced and become righteous themselves. And before not long, you have 10. I'm sorry, 11. And then 12. And then 13. And 20. 50. And so on and so forth. So what Abraham was striving for and letting God know is, don't destroy the city unless there's no hope of getting those 10. Because once you have those 10, it can expand and grow. If you have a city that has 9 people, the righteous have to be destroyed. But even God said, I know who they are. He'll get them out of there. So why 10? Because God was saying, if there's not 10, there's no hope for the city. No one else is going to try to take a righteous path, not even for 1 second. Therefore, they forfeit their lives and they will be destroyed. There's no redeeming quality in these people. They are so evil. There's no changing of them. So they will all be destroyed. Lot tried to protect those men. That was a good deed. That was a righteous act. And what was the gift? Get your family and get them out of here and don't look back. And so my Kelly girl, my puppy, runs off to save themselves. And the rest of the city was burned alive. That's why it's there. I hope this helps you understand this passage. And, stay tuned. I'm going to have more stuff like this. And I hope this helps. Feel free to comment. Even ask questions. Say, why does this happen in this passage? I'll when I have time, I'll give a stab at it. Okay. Thank you, everyone, for your support. Shalom, shalom.